Hi everyone! As you might already know, the field of computer science can be applied to a wide range of topics. And today, we're going to use computer science to explore ecological footprints, an important topic in environmental science. Here's a quick overview of what we'll be doing in the video lesson today. First, we'll describe what an ecological footprint is. Then, we'll teach you the fundamentals of the Python programming language. Finally, we'll walk you through creating your own ecological footprint calculator using Python. First, an ecological footprint is the impact of a person or community on the environment. It's expressed as the amount of land used to sustain the person or community's use of natural resources. This is important because the world has a limited number of resources. There's a limit to how much water, food, and other resources are available at any given time. So, ideally, everyone should try to have the smallest footprint possible so that they minimize their effect on the environment. We'll be able to use the calculator we make in order to see what our ecological footprint is and make informed decisions about our lifestyle. There are a few choices that can make a significant difference in your ecological footprint. Firstly, consuming animal-based products increases your ecological footprint. Secondly, your choice of transportation also affects your footprint. The more miles you drive compared to taking public transportation, the greater your footprint is. Electricity usage is another important factor. If you use less electricity, then your footprint will be smaller. Another contributing factor is trash and waste production. Remember the phrase reduce, reuse, recycle? It serves as a reminder in order of how to reduce your footprint created by waste. Reducing your disposable plastics usage helps reduce your ecological footprint, as does recycling what plastics you do inevitably use. Now, let's shift gears to the ecological footprint calculator that we're going to build. Using the popular programming language called Python, we can develop a program that can estimate our ecological footprint based on our own lifestyles. The calculator will take in a user input and use that input to calculate a sum. For example, if the program asks how much meat do you eat, the user will input a numerical value in pounds, and the program will add 10 points to the user's ecological footprint per pound entered. Once all the questions are answered, the program will output an ecological footprint score. Remember, the lower the score, the better the footprint. Alright, now, to build the calculator, there's a few programming concepts you'll need to learn if you're new to programming. The first is called a variable. You can think of a variable as a container used to store a piece of information or value, like a number. When you create a variable, you give it a name that you can then refer to later to access what you stored in the variable. The next concept you'll need to know is called a string. A string is a sequence of characters within quotes. For example, "Welcome to the ecological footprint calculator" is a string. They are most commonly used when you want to output a text to the user. The numbers in our program will be of the type integer, referred to in Python as int. As you might remember from math class, an integer is a whole number, meaning it has no fractional component. A loop is a piece of code that runs over and over until a certain condition is met. If there is no specified condition for when the code should stop running, then the loop is considered a forever loop. In order to prevent a forever loop from running, forever, a break statement can be added to tell the program to break out of the loop. The last concept you'll need to know is the if-else statement. This statement allows you to execute two different pieces of code depending on a certain condition. You can think of it as saying, if condition 1 is true, then execute code A. Otherwise, execute code B. You can also have an else if, denotated in Python as ELIF. It can be used to say, if condition 1 is true, then execute code A. Otherwise, if condition 2 is true, execute code B. You can use else if with a standard if-else to say, if condition 1 is true, then execute code A. Otherwise, if condition 2 is true, execute code B. Otherwise, execute code C. Now, let's take a look at how we can use these concepts to make our calculator. Here's an example code for the calculator. The first thing you'll notice in our template is the variable called score. This variable will be used to keep track of the calculated ecological footprint throughout the program. Since the user hasn't entered any information yet, the score is set equal to 0. Next, the program uses the print function to display a message on the user's screen. This message is a string. The rest of the template uses two forever loops with embedded if-else statements in order to ask the user lifestyle questions. Depending on their response, various values are added to the score variable. In the first loop, we ask the user if they eat meat or if they are a vegetarian. If they input M for meat, 100 points is added to the score. Then, after outputting the new score, the break command tells the program to leave the loop and continue on. If the user inputs V for vegetarian, 50 points is added to the score. Again, After outputting the new score, the break command tells the program to break the loop and move on. If the user answers anything other than M or V, the program will output the stated error message and restart the loop, since there was no break statement to exit the loop. In the second loop, we ask the user about their driving habits. On a scale of 0 to 200 miles, they are asked to input an integer representing how many miles they drive per day. Depending on the value entered, between 25 and 100 points are added to their score before the break statement moves the program out of the loop. If they entered an invalid response, such as something that wasn't an integer or a value greater than 200, the program will display an error message and restart the loop. Now that you've learned a little bit about ecological footprints in Python programming, try it out for yourself. The template we use is linked in the description for this video, as is a helpful Python cheat sheet. To build off of our template, open the link in the description and click on the fork REPL button to create your own copy to modify. See if you can add any additional questions for the user based on our discussion of factors that influence ecological footprints. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching and hope to see you next time.